All right, everybody, good Friday afternoon. It is time for another edition of your Friday afternoon injury report roundup. Both teams, the Seahawks and the 49ers, have declared their injuries going into the weekend for this Sunday's game in San Francisco. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about the players that we may not have, the obstacles we may have to overcome, and the obstacles that we may dodge via players on the 49ers who we may not have to deal with on Sunday. So, let me start off by saying that I have to admit that this injury report, or one part of it, is kind of giving me trust issues with this organization, and my trust in this organization right now is already kind of low because they consistently get things wrong. And this week, looking at this injury report, I can't help but see one thing they got wrong yet again, and as these things they get wrong continue to stack, it makes me start to wonder what is going on here. But let's save that for a minute here. Let's just quickly go over what we've got. Rashad Penny is out, which was expected. Brandon Shell is out, which was pretty much expected, but disappointing and significant. And Dwayne Eskridge is doubtful, still coming back from his concussion. Benson Mayowa is questionable with a neck injury. I have no indication of whether or not he's going to play. Alton Robinson is questionable with a knee. I didn't hear anything about him specifically. I feel like he's going to play, but it's hard to know. And Tyler Lockett is questionable with a hip. Now, based off what Carroll said in his recent conference earlier today, it sounds like Lockett's fine. It sounds like Lockett is going to play. Now, the fact that he showed up on the injury report at all is definitely troublesome and could definitely cripple this offense for this game if he doesn't play. He's the one guy on this team who is playing above his batting average right now, along with maybe you could say Russell Wilson and Al Woods, I guess. So, yeah, we can't afford that. But it sounds like Lockett is fine, and it's more precautionary than anything. Obviously, if Lockett can't play and Eskridge can't play, you might be looking at a Philip Dorsett call-up or a Cade Johnson call-up or something. That might be why we signed Dorsett this week. We just needed somebody just in case. But Lockett had a full practice today, so I expect him to play. So and also no Metcalf, no Kerry Hyder. Both those guys 100% ready to go, it looks like. So that's good news. But I don't know. The Dwayne Eskridge thing, it just nags at me. It just gets to me because earlier this week, the way Carroll and the organization was talking about Dwayne Eskridge, it sounded like a foregone conclusion that he was going to be able to make it back. It sounded like he was going to be ready to go against the Niners pretty much for sure. I was taking it for granted based off the way they were talking about it, based off the way they talked about it 2 weeks ago. Honestly, 2 weeks ago, based off what they were saying, I kind of took it for granted he was going to play against the Vikings. Now, don't get me wrong. He has a concussion, and it looked like a bad concussion. I have no problem with him taking a little bit of extra time, being cautious with him. He is a new, young player. If he needs to sit out another game, then I understand that. But I'm trying to figure out why Carroll kept telling us. I remember right after the injury happened, or a few days later, he said, "Oh yeah, he's gonna miss one game, but we actually really like the way he's developing. He's almost certainly gonna be ready for the Vikings game." And then he's not ready for the Vikings game. And then earlier this week, everyone kind of just was like, yeah, he's almost certainly going to make it back this week. He's looking good. He's going to practice on Thursday, yada, yada, yada. And then no, it doesn't look like we're going to have him. Doubtful, in my experience, is out. If you're doubtful, you're probably not going to play. So is Carroll just lying to throw these other teams off? Does he not know? Is he just being his optimistic self? Because I don't know. I'm just a little irritated right now. Do our doctors just suck? I don't know what's going on here. Again, I understand it's a concussion, and it looks like a pretty bad one. Him missing 3 games with a concussion is not unreasonable, but I don't know why we're getting told earlier this week that Eskridge is fine and ready to go for week 4, and then I don't know. Did something get worse? I don't see how something really could have gotten worse. I'm probably making too big a deal of something that ultimately isn't that big of a deal, but I don't know. It just gets to me because I'm having trust issues with this organization right now on so many levels. And then I see something like that. Whereas if I trusted this organization, I would just go, oh, they're just playing it safe with one of their young, exciting guys. I would just be like, okay, cool, let's move on. But because I'm having so many trust issues with this team, I'm looking at it and going like, okay, are the doctors bad? Is Carroll out of touch with his team? Does he not know what's going on? Is he? I'm just wondering all these things. I don't know if you guys can agree or not, but yeah, that bothers me. There's something there that just nags at me about that one. But that's the Seahawks injury report. Let's go over to the 49ers. Theirs is shorter, but no less significant. So, first and foremost, that Niners secondary is a train wreck. Kwan Williams is out with a calf injury. Josh Norman is probably not going to play with a chest injury. And this is on top of them already not having Jason Verrett. So basically, all their corners that they were planning on giving significant snaps to when the season started, well, maybe not Josh Norman because they signed him very recently, but the point is they are down to the nub at cornerback. So in a way, if we don't have Lockett somehow and we don't have Eskridge, it almost kind of makes it balance out because we're missing all our receivers, they're missing all their cornerbacks. So look, whoever goes out there on Sunday, Metcalf, Lockett, Swain, Eskridge, Cade Johnson, we pull Daryl Jackson out of retirement, whatever, whoever goes out there, you got to feast on that secondary because those cornerbacks are going to be weak. Arguably, their three best cornerbacks are out. You got to take advantage of that. So those are the big ones, and that's the big advantage that I see the Seahawks could exploit going into this game. Also, some big ones on the questionable list. George Kittle is questionable with a calf injury. I kind of expect him to play through it, but knowing Kittle's history, him going out there and playing injured could end poorly for him. He could go out pretty quickly. He could last a few plays and then just limp off and never come back. We've seen it happen with him before. He's had quite a few injuries racked up in his career. Javon Kinlaw is also questionable. Now, Kinlaw hasn't become that guy yet. He hasn't become that stud yet in the middle for them. But he's playing for them. And he has talent. And he is a decent player so far, I think. So that's significant. And running back Elijah Mitchell, which the Niners have problems at that running back position. And it's gotten to the point where it's actually negatively affecting them, which I generally believe that running systems like what Shanahan has, the players don't matter as much because it's all about that scheme. But the Niners are running low on players to such a degree that even losing somebody as forgettable as an Elijah Mitchell could be a big deal. So that running back room is thin right now, just like their cornerback room. Another thing you got to take advantage of. It's time to start stopping the run. If you're going to invest all these resources into run stuffers, you're going to invest all this scheme stuff into stopping the run, you got to stop the run against a team with no running back. So I don't know what their backfield is going to look like going into this game, but it's not going to be what they wanted. So that's it for the injury report roundup on Friday. I will see you guys later tonight. I actually have a little bit of a surprise, hopefully, for you guys, but you're going to have to tune in tonight to see what it is. I'll do pregame tomorrow morning, but that's your injury report. Peace out, go Hawks.